are supposed to bend when there is applied bias across the metal, insulator, and semiconductor. Now, if you see typical bend diagram inside the semiconductor, um, because there is no current flowing, the Fermi level is constant. And other bands are basically bending, right? Now, depending on the bias, right? So a positive voltage, right? If the voltage is positive here, you can see this picture. It will be more clear. Okay. In equilibrium, their Fermi levels are aligned. You see here, the Fermi levels in equilibrium are aligned. Right? This is the equilibrium. And right now, please remember, we are discussing the ideal metal insulator semiconductor structure. Okay. Their Fermi levels are aligned. And also this phi m is equal to phi s, right? Now, this is not always true, but it is important to assume this in the beginning to understand the concept. So if phi m and phi s are equal, so when you just connect them, then there is no bending because Fermi level is already aligned and there is no bending. And when bands do not bend, we call this condition flat bend. The bands are flat. So in such a scenario, the flat band condition or the flat band voltage, we call it VFV, right? Will be 0. Because at 0 applied bias, these bands are flat. Now, when we apply a positive bias, let's say we are applying a positive voltage to metal, what will happen? This Fermi level will go down relative to this Fermi level, right? But the relative positions of these band edges and band discontinuities, they will not change, right? So if this goes down, the vacuum level also has to go down here, right? And this interface has also to go down here. Now this is positive, so the direction of field will be from positive to negative, right? So if direction field is this, then that is voltage is decreasing, right? That is energy will be increasing, so it will be something like this. So band will be bending like, and here also same thing will happen, right? These bands will be bending like this, correct? So when the applied bias is positive, these bands will basically bend down, right? And which is our understanding that when the potential is positive, that the energy decreases because energy is minus QV. Because these Venn diagrams are actually electron energy Venn diagram. Another thing you can notice, the applied voltage drops in two parts, V across insulator and V across this semiconductor, and they both will add up to total applied voltage, correct? So now let us get back to our diagram. Okay, so this bending of the intrinsic level or the conduction band or the valence band is basically telling us about the voltage there, and the bending at the surface, we call it the surface voltage, right? Or surface potential. So this psi s is surface potential, and it is varying basically, and inside the bulk there is no bending, right? So if you assume it's semiconductor is long enough, there is no bending. And let us keep in mind some other important relationship. This is because Fermi level is below the intrinsic level, so this is a p-type semiconductor. and we can also say that Na will be roughly whole concentration, right? If we assume room temperature, then it's almost acceptor concentration will be whole concentration. So we call it P naught, or we can write it P naught, right? It's a P type material, the whole concentration, and N electron concentration will be Ni square by Na, right? Now this potential or the gap between Ei and Ef is related to the majority carrier concentration, right? Or both can electron and hole both concentration can be expressed using this psi b. So you can write psi b will be kT by q log Na by Ni, right? Or you can write P naught by Ni. They are basically same thing. Or you can write this is also equal to kT by q log Np naught by Ni, right? But with minus sign, right? Okay. Because N is exponential Ef minus Ei by kT, right? So it has to have negative sign there. So you can write, okay, or you can write if you add this two or subtract, then it will go 2 psi b. If you just add the magnitude, and 2 psi b will be kT by q log of Na by Ni square, because Np is Ni square by Na, and Ni square by N if you divide here, so this Ni will cancel, so Ni by Na and Na by Ni. So this becomes basically it turns out to be same thing basically, or this Na by Ni square is basically Pp naught by Np naught. You can also write that, right? This ratio is also Pp naught by Np naught is Na by Ni square, right? So these are some relationships that you should remember. Now this bend is bending, so you can write potential as a function of x, right? So this potential psi is a function of x, and psi at x equal to 0, right, is called surface potential. Now what is happening here? Because this intrinsic level is going down and Fermi level is constant. So if you see here, this is becoming less p type, and at this point it becomes intrinsic. And here actually it get the polarity get reversed, because now Fermi level is above the intrinsic level, right? So it becomes n type here. Now it is not that the dopants are changed. Dopants are still Na only acceptor, but due to the applied voltage, kind of inversion is taking place here. So the carriers are electrons here rather than holes in the bulk. So they have holes in the bulk, but at the surface, due to this applied voltage, inversion has taken place, and now carriers are electrons here. So here you have basically two types of charges, right? One is the fixed charges, right? And another one are the electrons here, the carriers. Or both have negative charge, so they always add up. Okay. Now to obtain the dependence of this potential on position, what can we do? We can solve the Poisson equation. Correct? Any question? But before we solve the Poisson equation, let me define some terms. Let's say this is your semiconductor surface, right? And this is a Fermi level. This should not be EC. This should be EI. Right? This is for P type, right? N type. This will be ulta ho gaya. EI is below. So it should be slightly, you know, deleted, huh? Not correct. So what you can think like this. Let's say this is your Fermi level, right? And for P type, Fermi level is below the intrinsic level, right? Now in accumulation, what will happen? This should the balance went, the conduction went, right? Now for accumulation, how the accumulation will take place? When we apply the negative voltage, right? And for negative voltage, these bands will go. See, when you apply the negative voltage, the voltage here will go down and the minus QV will go up, right? So Fermi energy will go up. So if Fermi energy go up, somebody's mic is on. Please turn off your mic. Abhishek Kumar. What happened? Do you have any problem? Okay. So actually this should be EV, not EC. Yeah, I got it. So what will happen? These bands will bend, right? So they will go like this, right? So if you see here, this EI, sorry, this is EF. So this is EI, right? So EI, EV, they are going up, right? So this EV is coming close to EF, right? So that means holes are getting accumulated here. So the bending will be like this, but because it is crossing EF, so it should not be EC, it should be EV. Okay. So this is accumulation and the surface potential is negative. In flat band, bands are flat, there is no bending, so the surface potential is 0. In case of depletion, what we do, we apply a negative positive voltage at the this thing metal gate, and these bands basically bend down. So this is, if this is your Fermi level, right? This will be, bands will bend down. It can be EC or EI, whatever you can say, EC or EI, right? They will bend down and they are reaching close to it, but this EC is not reaching EF because this is it's less than 5e, right? So at 5e, what will happen? This EI will touch it. So at 5e, it will touch it. So it should be like this. Wait, right there. So this is 5e, right? Psi b, and this at the surface, it will become intrinsic. So the electron hole concentration will be equal because EI is equal to EF here. And if it is crosses this one, it goes beyond it, then it is inversion. So what is happening? Basically, we are comparing this EI and EF. So this is the plot of EI and EF. So for flat band, they are constant. For depletion mode, EI is coming close to EF. When it is intrinsic carrier concentration, EI is exactly overlapping with the EF at the surface. Inside, of course, it is changing. And if EI goes below EF, that means the polarity of the carriers are reversed, right? So that because that we call inversion. Now there is a weak inversion, a strong inversion. A strong inversion is defined as when the minority carrier concentration or the electrons concentration is equal to the majority carrier concentration in the bulk, right? So that will happen at psi s is equal to 2 psi b. And that is also the condition for threshold voltage. Okay, so is it clear? Okay, so now let's solve the Poisson equation. So the rho can be written as Q times all the charges, right? The donors minus receptors plus hole concentration minus electron concentration. Now for p-type semiconductor, p-type silicon, the receptors only. Then pp will be almost same as acceptor. It will be Ni square by Na, electron concentration, right? And but how do we solve it? So in the bulk, rho is zero in bulk, right? So that will give us a relationship about these fixed charges. So Nd minus Na will be Np naught minus Pp naught. Or if it is p-type, then we can write Na minus Nd will be Pp naught minus Np naught, right? And we can also recall the expression for Np naught and Pp naught. What is Pp naught? Pp naught is Ni exponential U psi b by kT, correct? And Np naught is Ni exponential minus Q psi b by kT, right? So Np naught and Pp naught is Ni square basically. Now if this potential changes, right, then if you see here this diagram, if this potential changes, now this gap is not psi b, it is less than psi b. So it becomes psi b minus psi, right? The gap between EI and EF is psi b minus psi. So you can replace this thing by psi b minus psi. So your whole concentration can be written as Ni exponential Q psi b minus psi by kT. And N concentration can be written as Ni exponential Q. It's a minus psi b. So you can write minus psi b minus psi by kT. So this is basically comes out to be Pp naught exponential minus Q psi b by Q psi by kT, right? And this comes out to be Np naught, right, exponential Q psi by kT, right? We have basically introduced one term here. This beta is basically Q by KT. And you can also say it is 1 over thermal voltage. So please don't confuse this beta with the common emitter gain in BJT. We are using same symbol here. Or if you are not comfortable beta, you can just write Q by KT there. So now you can write P minus N is basically PP naught exponential minus Q psi by KT minus NP naught exponential Q psi by KT. Now when we substitute it here, what expression you will get? ND minus NA, this, plus PP minus NP. So plus this thing, right? So what will happen? You can write PP naught exponential minus beta psi minus 1 minus NP naught exponential beta psi minus 1, right? And then on the left side, this is about the charge, right? So rho can be written as using Gauss law, del dot equal to, or a general equation, del dot D is equal to rho, right? And D is epsilon E. And assuming that dielectric constant is not changing with position, so you can write del dot equal to rho by epsilon, right? Now epsilon has two component, dielectric constant and the free space permittivity, right? And this, remember, this epsilon is basically the dielectric constant or the permittivity of semiconductor, right? So sometimes it is epsilon s because we have oxide also, right? But this is we are studying inside the semiconductor. So this epsilon is epsilon s. Sometimes written as epsilon relative and epsilon naught, or sometimes k epsilon naught. So these are different notations. And for 1D, del dot E can be written as d by dx. And also remember, electric field is the negative derivative of voltage, right? Potential. So E is minus d psi by dx. So we substitute here, d by dx can be written as d2 psi by dx square with negative sign. So negative sign we take to the side, it becomes minus rho by epsilon. So now we can substitute rho from here and d2 psi by dx square. So we obtain this expression. Let me. Okay, so I erased the ink. So d2 psi by dx square can be written as minus qi epsilon, then pp naught e to the power minus beta psi minus 1, then minus np naught e to the beta psi minus 1. Minus 1 is become plus, right? So this is the equation. Now we have psi here, right? So how can we solve it? We will use one trick. d2 psi by dx square, or is basically minus d by dx, you can say d2 psi by dx square is minus d by dx, right? So this can be also be written as see, on the right side there is only potential variable psi, right? So can we get rid of this x here? So we can write it as minus de by d psi times d psi by dx. Now this d psi by dx with negative sign is E, right? So you can write it as electric field times d by d psi, right? So ED on left side and d psi we can take to right side. So we have eliminated x, right? And that way we can integrate. And what will be the integration limit? You are starting from the surface, right? Right? Is psi s to psi is 0 here, right? So in the bulk it is 0. So and electric field also is 0 here, right? So limit for electric field will also be 0 to psi s. Now if you want to do it for general position x, then you don't have to assume psi s, you can just write psi and field will be E. Right? So you can integrate this from 0 to electric field and this 0 to psi. So when we solve it, basically this is the equation that we obtained, and then if you integrate it, and d psi you take to right side, right, and integrate it, it becomes E square by 2, and this will be q by epsilon by beta, right? Because if you integrate this e to the power minus beta psi, and pp naught is also taken out, so q times pp naught by epsilon beta, and if you integrate e to the minus beta psi, you get e to the minus beta psi divided by minus beta, and beta is taken out, right? And so this minus charge is also gone, and minus 1 will be minus psi, right? So it becomes beta psi because we have taken minus out, so charge will change accordingly. So this 1 becomes, so corresponding this here, this is beta psi, and then at 0 this will become 1, so limit is basically 0 to psi. So at 0 only this will be there. So so e to the power minus beta psi, this is psi, right? And at 0 this will become 1, so minus 1 here. Then similarly we have taken pp naught out, so np by pp naught here, then e to the power beta psi, then minus 1 become minus psi, so beta here, and then limit 0 will be e to the power 0 psi will be beta 0 will be 1, right? So you will get this expression. Now let us understand what does it mean. So in case of bends are bending down, right, as we saw in our previous or the beginning slide today, potential is increasing from 0 to psi s here, right? The potential is increasing, so what is the direction of field? From high potential to low potential, right? Or we can always say that, you know, if the bend is bending down, so electric field is basically uphill, right? So this will be a direction of electric field, or you can say it's positive here. Now what these different terms actually mean? E to the power minus beta psi. Minus beta psi means this term will be significant when this psi is negative, right? So that means it is bending up. Now when it is bending up, what will happen? It will be accumulation, right? And then this beta psi. So when psi, this term will dominate when psi is less than 0. Now if psi is greater than 0, then of course this term will be quite large, e to the beta psi, but it has a prefactor np naught by pp naught, and which is np naught by pp naught is exponential minus 2 beta psi b, right? So as long as psi is less than 2 psi b, right, this will not be significant. So only term that is important will be beta psi. So this term will be important for psi greater than 0, but less than 2 psi b. And beyond 2 psi b, this exponential will become important, right? So we can say this will be kind of accumulation, this will be depletion, and this will be inversion. Okay. Let us see other forms also. This qp p naught by epsilon beta can be expressed in a term. We also define a term called Debye length. Now Debye length is basically is kind of a screening length. So if you have a piece of material, right, and let's say for p-type semiconductor, and you put one negative charge here, right? So its electric field will be felt up to certain length, right? Beyond which it will be screened away. In case of metal, if you put any piece like this, so quickly the charge will accumulate here, right? So device length will be very small. Means inside you will not get the field, right? But in semiconductor, there are not that many carriers and their mobility is less. So it has a it will be felt up to certain length, right? And that length is called device length. And the way to remember is this expression, but the simple way to remember is, can you recall what is the depletion width? Epsilon V by Q times Na, right? Now this V is actually VBI plus VR like this. So in that expression, what you do? You replace this V by thermal voltage, KT by Q or 1 by beta, right? You get the expression for device length. So this is just to remember. So for one-sided junction, you take the expression for depletion region and replace the voltage inside by thermal voltage KT by Q. You get the expression for device length. Of course, if the doping is higher, then the device length will be less. That means it will be easily screened. So similarly, if you consider metal, then the device length will be very, very small, right? And if the doping is less, then the device length will be more. Means it will take more space to screen the effect of foreign charge. And the second term, this term under bracket, that we can define some function, right? So overall E field you can write root 2 by beta L, because this is E square, right? So E will be root 2 times square root of Q N A by epsilon beta, right? And this is basically written as beta LD, right? So if you see here, this can be written as beta LD, because LD is you can use a trick. UNA will be at the bottom, epsilon times V, right? And V is KT by Q, so you can write beta here, right? Square root. So LD is epsilon by QNA. So you can multiply beta, divide by beta, take out, this become LD, right? So this beta square taken out become beta. So it is basically root 2 by beta LD. So you will see this equation in different forms. So just be comfortable. They are basically same. So I'm summarizing some of them here. You can write root 2 by beta LD here, right? And this is equal to root 2 QNA by epsilon beta, right? And this also under square root. Whole thing is actually under square root, right? Right, yeah. So these two terms are basically same. Root 2 times QNA by epsilon beta is equal to root 2 by beta LD. Okay, so this we saw for depletion for N type for P type semiconductor in depletion, and this is basically accumulation, right? So accumulation comes from electric field size negative, so this term dominate, it get accumulated. The majority carriers get accumulated. Now if you plot this E field, right, as a function of potential, right? So E field as a function of potential given like this. So E field at the surface E field at the surface will be function of surface potential, right? So you can plot E field versus the surface potential, and you can also calculate the total charge. So inside the semiconductor, the total charge in this region, right, will be epsilon times E field, right? Because that field continues in the oxide, right, where there is no charge accumulation. So Q inside the semiconductor is epsilon times E. So you can plot this Q surface charge versus psi. So what do we expect? For negative voltage or negative surface potential, it exponentially increases, right? So you can say beyond 0, it increases exponentially, right? And at certain voltage 2 psi b, it again increases exponentially, right? And in between, it varies at psi, right? Now this psi, there's a square root thing here, right? So it's a square root of psi. Okay, this is a power half here, so it's exponential minus beta psi by 2. It will become beta psi by 2. So it will not be exactly minus beta psi, it will be minus beta psi by 2 and plus beta psi by 2 here, right? So this is the overall summary of finding the total charge inside the semiconductor. So what we have done, we have solved for the this Poisson equation, and then we obtained the expression for the electric field with the potential. Then we can use the surface potential to calculate the electric field at the surface, and from the electric field at the surface we can find the total charge concentration inside the semiconductor. And from this charge concentration, we can plot this charge concentration versus surface potential. So this is a surface potential, and this is the charge concentration. So it is exponential q psi by 2 kt. Minus sign is there, but this is negative here, so here positive effect. Here is root psi. So this region is basically called the accumulation region. This called is a depletion, right? And then after this psi b, the intrinsic level goes below Fermi level, right? So it becomes from p to n type. So electrons are there, holes become less. And then after 2 psi b, electron hole concentration become equal, right? And then of course this np naught by pp naught become 1. At 2 psi b, np naught by pp naught will be 1. And then of course it grows exponentially because now this prefactor is has crossed the value 1. Correct? Any doubt? Question is clear? Okay. So the same thing I have described in this slide. So the first term accumulation, second term depletion, right? And this I've shown here. Np naught by pp naught is exponential minus beta 2 psi b, and beyond psi s beyond 2 psi b, it basically becomes a it goes into inversion region, a strong inversion region. And now let us think how the charge distribution will look like. This is a metal, this is a semiconductor. So especially in this region, how the charge concentration will look like. So when you apply negative, when you apply the positive gate voltage, right, these bands actually bend down and you create a depletion region here, right? Now this is accepted doping, so the depletion charge will be, density will be QNA, right? And it is negative sign, right? Minus QNA. So this will be the charge. So as you increase the voltage, this depletion width will keep on increasing, right? Then after certain point 2 psi b, it will not increase, rather the this inversion layer will be created, right? So inversion charge will increase here. So with inversion charge, this concentration can be quite high. So this potential will not change much actually, because for a small change you will have large charge concentration here, right? So the charge in the semiconductor called QS consists of two charges, depletion charge and inversion charge. So this is a depletion charge, this is inversion charge, and both have same sign, both are negative. This is due to acceptor ions and this is due to electrons. And because it's like a capacitor, so same charge will be on metal side, Qm. So same charge Qs and Qm will be equal in magnitude. So this is how the plot look like. So inside the semiconductor, this is the depletion width W, and charge density is minus Qna. It's an inversion charge Qn, and same charge has to be on metal. So metal charge and semiconductor charge, their magnitude will be equal. So you can write Qm and Qs, their magnitude will be equal, but they are on the opposite side of the capacitor plates, so they will have sign difference. So Qm will be minus Qs, and minus Qs is of course this QNAW is already negative sign, so you can write QNAW, and of course minus Qn, inversion charge. So from this charge distribution, you can find out the electric field and the potential distribution. So given a charge distribution, please try to draw the potential. So what we have done, we have applied a positive voltage to the metal side, right? So this is some plus V here, and this in the bulk, there's some 0 volt here, right? Plus V. So how the field will look like? Now this is a sheet of charge. So sheet of charge will give a field, right? Constant field. And that field will be Q by epsilon, right? So Qm by epsilon. So constant field will be there. So let's say this is the constant field. Then there is a sheet of charge here, but the sign is negative. So this will give Qn by epsilon, right? Now this epsilon will be epsilon of oxide. Here the epsilon will be of epsilon of semiconductor. So that will be the difference. Due to the sheet, suddenly there is field here, right? So there will be sudden change in field here, and it will decrease, suddenly decrease, right? So this is a field here, suddenly decrease. Then there is a distributed charge, right? So due to this depletion region, how the field will change? Of course, here there is no depletion charge, so this field will be 0 here. Okay. Field will be 0 here. So how the field will change here? Now field is dE by dx is rho by epsilon, right? So this charge is basically density is constant, right? So that means your electric field will vary linearly, right? So it will vary linearly. So this is how your electric field will look like, right? What about the potential? So this is the potential. This is the potential V here. Let's say this potential is V. Now some drop will be across the oxide, some drop will be across the semiconductor. So field is constant. Field is constant, right? So that means V is equal to E dot dx. So potential will vary linearly, right? Because d, let's write it psi, yeah, because we are using psi here, right? So d psi by dx is equal to minus electric field, right? So electric field is positive here, so that means your psi will decrease, right? And it is a constant, so it will decrease linearly, right? So you can write something like this, right? Now inside a semiconductor, this E is linear, right? Some AX, right? So psi will be a square type of thing, right? So here it will basically some kind of curvature will be there, like parabolic curve will be there, and it will decrease there. Now there will be no discontinuity for the potential, right? Because potential do not change abruptly, but due to the seat of charge, field can change abruptly. So this is the diagram, right? This is the electric field, this is the potential. So homework for you, please draw this thing for inversion region of n-type silicon semiconductor, right? And these are the different this is the electric field and the potential, and of course this is the term that is dominating here for the depletion region, right? So around Q is equal to 2 psi v, or between especially the surface potential is between 0 and 2 psi v, right? This beta psi term basically dominate. So if you use this term only and try to get the field from here, what do you get? You will get E field. Now this, remember, this is the expression for the field at the semiconductor surface, right? And of course this field is constant inside the oxide, so not an issue. So you can write root 2 kT Na by epsilon, right, times beta psi. So this is also power half, right? So times beta psi, right? The power is half is there, right. It's a beta psi, power half is there, okay. Okay, now how this psi is related to the charge distribution. Please recall all the discussion that we did for PN junction inside the semiconductor, right? So we are mostly interested inside this region. So from the charge distribution, this model, right? So let's say we ignore this thing for some time. This is a charge distribution in the depletion region. So what will be the field here at the surface? Charge density times the width of the region, right? So basically total charge, and total charge is how much? QNA times this W by epsilon, right? So that will be your electric field at the surface, right? So your E field is basically this is root 2 kT Na by epsilon. It was also written as root 2 by beta LD, right? E was written as, right? So E square will be 2 by beta LD. So basically you can also write E field square as it was root 2 by beta LD square, right? Root 2 by so 2 by beta LD square will be this thing, right? So 2 by beta LD, right, times beta psi. So 1 beta will go here. So 2 psi by beta LD square. And you can also get from the charge analysis the electric field at the surface. is Q N A W by epsilon. So this will be fielded surface, and because it's linearly varying, it's 0 here. So you can write the expression for electric field is Q N A W minus X by epsilon. Correct? And the potential here is varying quadratically here. So this will be Q N A by epsilon. Now, if you integrate it, the potential will be the area under this curve, right? So this will be half base into height. So QNA W by epsilon times half times the base, right? So QNA W square by 2 epsilon, that will be the potential, surface potential, right? And where depletion width is again given by square root of QNA epsilon times V, right? Now V is for 2 psi V, you can write V roughly 2 psi V, right? So epsilon 2 psi V by QNA. Okay. So this is a summary. Now we will close here. Next class we will discuss about the concept of threshold voltage, and we will consider a more realistic structure where this Fermi energies are not aligned. So phi m is not equal to phi ms, and oxide may have some charge. So that will be general case. And in next class we will discuss about the concept of threshold voltage inside the MOS structure, and how the how this charges inside the oxide, what type of charges are there, and um, uh, the effect of this different phi m and phi s, that we will explore in next class. So today we have basically explored the ideal metal insulator semiconductor structure, and we have derived the equation for electric field and the surface potential, potential inside the bulk, and the charge distribution, right? So thank you very much. If you have any question, I will take few questions now. Let me stop recording.